I am so happy to have you, Brittany Rush, on. I didn't sign up for this because you didn't sign up for this. It kind of happened to have you here today. So we're going to do maybe like a podcast takeover, and I'm going to let you guide the conversation, ask questions about the podcast, where it's going. And I also want to say that Alzheimer's Arkansas, we provide education, support, and resources to families caring for their loved ones with Alzheimer's, dementia, and other chronic illnesses. I guess about 2019, my uncle lived out of state over in Oklahoma, and he was starting to get sick a lot and ending up in emergency room. So I was driving more than I would like to Tulsa to check on him. I mean, it's 5 hours. I mean, like, go check on him, come back, go for the weekend, check. And he decided that he needed to get closer to his family. So he's my uncle, and which means he has family. So somehow, and I kind of know how, but somehow be careful what you offer. I was like, so until they find you housing, because he was an independent, because, we're transitioning.
Sure.
Until we transition you to find a place here. I mean, if it's a month or so, you can stay with me, like a month, Welcome to I Didn't Sign Up for This, a podcast brought to you by Alzheimer's Arkansas. I'm Carolyn, your host. We are going to dive into the complexities and challenges of being a caregiver to someone with Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. This is just not about the disease. This is about the caregiving experiences, the challenges, the mishaps, the miscommunications, and understanding of how this disease affects families, communities, and our society as a whole. Thank you to Elder Independence Home Care for sponsoring us and underwriting to make this possible, to bring this podcast to the podcast land and you listening. Today, Brittany Rush, I'm going to let you guide us through the program, the podcast today.
Okay. Well, I very much appreciate you letting me be the guest host and put the shoe on the other foot, if you will. I've gotten to know you a lot over the course of the last year and a half or so, and it has been a blessing, and I know how much you care about the caregivers that you work with. I've seen that in many different scenarios. I want people to know how you came up with the name, because I know you didn't sign up for it. We talked about the idea, and then you were like, okay, well, yeah, I think I want to do this, but it's just crazy to me that you don't ever listen to or watch your episodes.
So I have, I guess, is it a syndrome or something that I cannot listen to my own voice, so it literally hurts my body. I know that it might be some like illness I may have, like I know it's some mental block or something, but I don't like the sound of my voice, and it literally like causes some pain in my body to hear me speak. So I don't listen. I am also my own worst critic, so I could pick out every mishap, blunder, mistake, anything, and I don't want it to have to be perfect, so I just don't listen to it, because I think perfection takes away the genuine part of us. So I always try to be genuine, and I aim for being genuine and not perfect. So I don't want to be the person that pick myself apart. So how did I come up with the name? So multifaceted. First of all, I did not sign up for this, but probably for the most part, talking to hundreds, thousands of family caregivers, when they start their journey, I think that's a common phrase or the common communication that I hear is they did not sign up for a particular part of their journey. The journey comes with expectations. So, I know you have some experience, even if it's secondhand, like caregiving experience.
Oh, when my grandmother, my Mimi is what I call her, she'd heard me call her grandmother, she would roll over in her grave. But my mom's mom, so yeah, I did help take care of her the last 4 months that she was alive, and she didn't have dementia or Alzheimer's or anything like that, but yeah, it's definitely, especially when it's your loved one, it's really hard to do that, and it does take a lot, and everyone's journey is different, like yours to how you got here, and then yeah, even today I help take care of my mom a little bit here and there, and so I think everybody in some form or fashion, maybe not like midway, but the later they go in life, it's going to become something.
So there's a quote or a statement that says like that either you are currently caregiving, have been a caregiver, or will be a caregiver. And most people don't identify themselves as caregivers just because when you care for someone, the tasks we do are so, like, we don't think about it. We just kind of get into the groove, like, this needs to happen. So maybe it starts with, I got to go check on my mom, make sure she's taking her medication, or make sure she's eating, or make sure, certain things that's important to you is happening, right? So it goes from, like, that one thing to... did you make that appointment to go to the doctor, or have you done this? And then you add another thing, and then before you know it, you've added so many things, you're like a full-fledged help caring, you're a caregiver, and you don't really recognize it, and it's because the relationship. So we believe, and it's true, part of us, like, we're going to take care of our loved one. Like, we step in and we do what we need to do, and we don't really call it caregiving, it's just the love we give people. So, but before you know it, it's taking toll on your life, your mental health, your physical health.
Oh, for sure.
And you don't even recognize you're a caregiver. And
then you get so caught up in it that you forget to take time for yourself.
Yes.
And that's obviously a critical piece of it. I mean, I've heard the different stories from people that have been on the podcast previously, going to the Champions event that you all had this year. I mean, it takes on several different forms, but you have to be mindful of what kind of stressors it puts on you physically, mentally, emotionally, and taking that time, that respite to go and do something outside of it, whether it's an hour, whether you get a whole weekend, you have to. It's imperative.
It's imperative. So when we say I didn't sign up for this, a part of that is when you think about being a caregiver or taking somebody on a basic level. You probably think about, I'll probably have to make sure their medications are okay, make sure that they eat, maybe I got to pick up groceries, maybe like these things that like in your mind you have a list of things that you're going to do. Then we forget about the things we didn't sign up for, right? And based on the person's disease process, the disease, their capabilities, it's a lot of stuff you didn't sign up for. How many times I hear, and I mean, it's reasonable, like, I did not sign up to have to bathe my parent. That takes a lot emotionally out of you. Saying your parent nude and in a vulnerable state, that it's just something you never really thought about. Do people do it all the time? Absolutely. But it does, that's something you didn't sign up for. You did not sign up for, and we've talked about some of these things, you didn't sign up for your father to hit on you like you was his wife because you look like his wife. You're his daughter, but you did not expect for him to make sexual passes to her. You didn't sign up for this.
Yeah,
right?
that was my mom when she brought my grandfather in to live with her and my stepdad. Made it about 6 months, but and when they're adjusting to a new space, like in the very beginning, I remember like in the very beginning, he still knew I was his granddaughter, my mom was his daughter, and then the more it progressed, that dementia progressed. I remember she called me one day and she said, "You will never guess what happened last night." Like, Daddy told Gene that he needed to go live somewhere else because he was messing up, our household, our little lifestyle that we had. Like, literally thought that I was his wife. And, it's like, it's things that, you didn't sign up for it. You don't expect it, but you can't help how that disease progresses with each person, and it's going to take different forms. It's going to be a different relation for each individual, and, you can't ever predict. There's not one size fits all.
So there are a list of things, and it just depends on the family, the situation, the circumstances that people don't sign up for. You don't sign up for your mother who has never, used profanity, or, some of the good ones. I don't hate to say good ones, but like part of a story is like, please forgive, your mother was a woman before she was your mother, and she was a woman. And when they like see or hear that their mother is sexually active, especially like in nursing homes and assisted living.
That happened.
And it happened. I remember this lady coming to me and said, something's wrong with my mom. Like, she has started to like dress up, but not provocatively, like, and picking men up. And she was, so at one part of the disease, some people can seem so normal until you like get to know them, right? And like
get below the surface.
Yeah, so like if a man just met her and she's offering him like she having a good enough conversation, he does not know that she has dementia. So protecting your I did not sign up to have to like watch my mother literally chase after her, like keep her hostage almost in her life because she would pick up men, because that's just where she was in her disease. She was in her 30s or 20s, and she was very sexually, promiscuous and was like picking up men. So there's a lot of stuff that people don't sign up for when they go on this journey. And a part of my goal with the podcast was to talk about the things that people don't talk about and the things that make each caregiver feel isolated, alone, and like this is not happening anywhere else. Like, people seem to think this is my own unique experience, which is not true.
Right. I mean, just like what we were just talking about, this person had this. Well, yeah, I can attest to this because I saw it with my grandpa, or I can attest to this because we went through this with my grandma. Like different. Even though it can be like some extenuated circumstances, there's still at the root of it, there's going to be something, that sexuality piece, that however that lifestyle was when that person that's caring for their loved one was growing up and how that relationship was. I know we've covered that in some different episodes before. So
yes, and that episode of how my parent didn't really care for me. Didn't take care of me. Now I have to take care of them. Like, how that mentally affects you. I even hear, and most people don't talk about this either, spouses, right? They have been in horrible marriages. They held on, and then one of them gets sick, get diagnosed with dementia. And now they have to step up again to be caring and a spouse because of life and dynamics. A lot of people can be in a relationship and coexist in a house, right? And it has become their normal. They're in separate bedrooms.
Right.
They decided to stay together. Everything is okay. They have set like these unspoken boundaries, and then somebody gets sick. And that changes the dynamic of their relationship, because now somebody has to take care of somebody. And usually, I don't know what it is, it's that person that felt like they were harmed the most. The person that probably was like out running around or whatever, they get diagnosed. And then the other person has to step up. Although they still harbor all of these feelings, negative feelings, now they have to be the caregiver.
Right.
And a lot of times, especially with Alzheimer's, dementia, that person goes back into some of the mindset, some of the behavior, some of the language, and they have to deal with it a second time. And that can be very isolating, because for the most part, we are not, even in normal life, if we can call it normal, aren't talking about those things that harm us. You know, we walk around like everything's okay.
Yep.
And then the one thing I found out about this disease when I started working at Alzheimer's Arkansas is I thought I was going to talk about disease a lot, and I do. Helping caregivers a lot, and I do. But family dynamics play such a big part in this disease process. I mean, family dynamics sets the tone.
Yeah.
Set the tone. So,
so I've heard other stories, and I've spent time with you outside of, office hours and stuff. So I know on the surface, I know Carolyn, but I want to know you've been a caregiver, I assume, at some point in your life.
So I'm going to say I'm like most people and in denial about being a caregiver, and really picked up task and was like, oh, that's what you do. So I guess about 2019, my uncle lived out of state over in Oklahoma, and he was starting to get sick a lot, and ending up in emergency room. So I was driving more than I would like to Tulsa to check on him. I mean, it's 5 hours. I mean, like, go check on him, come back, go for the weekend, check. And he decided that he needed to get closer to his family. So he's my uncle, and which means he has family. So somehow, and I kind of know how, but somehow be careful what you offer. I was like, so until they find you housing, because he was an independent, because, we're transitioning.
Sure.
Until we transition you to find a place here. I mean, if it's a month or so, you can stay with me, like a month,
Yeah.
As I was thinking. So him being older, he had decided, as soon as I said that, he decided he wanted to pack up and move.
Ready.
Yeah, he ready. So somehow he ended up in my house like way before it was time. So with that came getting him to doctor's appointments. He was on dialysis, had high blood pressure. He had a weakened heart. Like, he just had a lot of things going on. So he moved in with me, and I kind of moved along the process to get him in independent living. And sadly to say, so that was like 2019. 2020, when COVID shut down, he was really serious about it, so he would not even come to yard stuff. He would not come. He didn't want to get COVID. And August of 2020, he had stomach issues. He had just came back from dialysis and had stomach pains and gastrointestinal issues. And those were his COVID issues. And he was dropped off at the hospital in the ER, and I guess for like 2 days I could call and he would answer his cell phone. The third day he didn't answer. The fourth day the nurse like he's just out of it, and then she said he asked to be put on a ventilator. He agreed. So about 2 weeks in the hospital, he eventually succumbed to COVID. So I had that. So I just looked at it as tasks because I was like making sure that he found a doctor while he was here. Doing appointments. He was in my house, making sure, and even running back and forth to Tulsa. I guess by definition, I was a caregiver, but in my head, I didn't really think of me as being a caregiver. And I think that's what I was his niece. I loved him, and he needed it. So I think a lot of family members don't really, or even if you love somebody, you really don't think of like what you're doing as caregiving. But it really was emotional. I had a full-time job. My son was young at that time. So it really does affect like your life, your whole being, and you got to take care of yourself, and I wasn't. So at the same time, I had been divorced for, I'm gonna say, so Garrison was 15, about 5 years, 6 years. So I had been divorced for 5 to 6 years, and my ex, June of 2020, during COVID, he had a car accident. And that was really like a scary time. The blessing, and I like to say this, is God has provided opportunity for me to be aware and use my own personal life as education to help other people.
Sure.
So he had the accident, and he was paralyzed from his shoulders down, and a blessing is that he was totally cognitive. Like he was in ICU for a few days, but he was there. He was not on any machines except for a colostomy bag. That was it. That was the only thing he was on. So took him through ICU and some rehab, and we had some family dynamics. I was a ex-wife, and he had an adult kid. So we had some issues where the adult kids, and I was okay with it, said that they wanted to be there for their father. Okay. I was the first point of contact because he did not change in the 5 years. He did not change his emergency contact.
That's a typical man, though, right?
Right. So when he had the accident, a state trooper come to my house. It's COVID, and I usually don't do that unless somebody passed away, which he comes to my house and he says, you're Garrison's mother? And I'm like, yes. So he told me about the accident, and with some thinking, because it's COVID, I was able to get Garrison in to see his dad, right? Because really it was because they were like, well, you can't go back there, it's COVID,
right?
Unless they're dying. And I was like, so do you know if he's dying? And she just kind of looked at me, and I was like, so he's paralyzed, he has been knocked out, like, so do you know if he's dying? And with that question, they was like, one person, 15 minutes. I'm like, cool, send my son in. So after some things, his children was like, we want to be like the active caregivers in their dad's situation. And I was like, okay. I pulled back, and out of, I guess I'll say, who I am, I would like go window visit him and go see him more than anybody probably else. And he asked me to be his POA, which, here's the part that I have to let people know. that was the most difficult decision that I could have made, because like I didn't want to do it. And to take to kind of let people know where we had a difficult marriage, and he was like an alcoholic. And so I divorced him because I did not want to end up in the situation that I ended up in, taking care of him at his own device, right? So I literally had to like go seek counsel, because I was fighting. Like, I knew he didn't have any, he kind of had somebody, but like I knew if he was requesting it of me, he really needed me to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to do it. Like, did not sign up for this. I divorced you. I did not sign up for this.
Sure.
So I decided yes. Yeah, there I go. Yes, because I did. But there I go. I get, his power of attorney, all the things that I would need to help make decisions, help get him, placed. Because at that point, I did not realize. I just thought, like, in some part of your mind, you're like, he's gonna be okay.
Right.
There are plenty of people who are paralyzed, quadriplegics that live lives. So I did not know he was going to pass away.
Mm-hmm.
So after a few months, he does pass away. And I learned so much about Medicaid, Medicare, rehab, funerals, like what a person has control over, don't have control over when people pass away, because POAs end when people die, but some other education allowed me to fill out some other forms where I would be over his funeral, his remains. So, because he didn't want his kids to argue and have, so I took care of all of that even after. I did not sign up for this. So, and so it was so stressful in that too, because I also was, on the back of my mind was always, do people think I'll do something to him because I'm mad at him, or because I'm his ex? But I knew he trusted me. That's why he asked. I didn't force it. I didn't want it.
Sure.
But we do things for people that we care about to make sure that they have, at least a decent dignity, quality of life, even in their worst days. So that's how some of my caregiving episodes have happened, and have been most grateful in being able, is like God giving you the opportunity to be in that place, not only for me, but for other families as well.
Yeah, and I know without a shadow of a doubt how much of an impact you've made in so many lives across the time that you've been at Alzheimer's Arkansas. And don't even have to hear any words. I can just see how much, when you come in, like when you came into the room that night and there were people that were coming in, checking in for the event, they just make a beeline for Carolyn, and so it's like when they're drawn to you, then like I said, without even saying anything, how much you mean to that person and how much of a sounding board you've been when they're in those times. And I can't remember her name, Miss Margarita?
Yes.
She is a Carolyn fan, 110%.
And I didn't sign up for that part either. So it happens. So, and I don't want to sound like ungrateful, but because I love so many people love me, but sometimes I don't even know what I've done. It literally, like, I think what I've done is provided a safe place and no judgment. Like if you call me and Miss Marguerite calls and like she ended up inspiring me, but I get calls. Some people I never meet. Like I've had months long relationships, work relationship, professional relationships with people that call me on the phone and they tell me like, I don't want to do this. This is driving me crazy. Like, I want to quit today. Like, my sister is making me do this, and then my parents acting like this, and we go through like this phone relationship, and then sometimes I meet them like afterwards or whatever. But my thing is like never to judge, because you can't judge another person's situation. If you don't want to, if I've had people say I can't do it, and I help them work through that because they can't. And if they know they can't, well, let's work out what you can do and make the best decisions. Because sometimes that's the best love you can give, is not to be somebody's caregiver. If you are emotionally at a good place with that person, sometimes the best thing you can do is make the decision not to be their caregiver. And that's hard to say, right? So I just try to no judgment on whatever the decision is, and help you realize that that's the best love. When you want to do something, even if it's like, I'm out, I can't, helping you navigate through that, putting them in some hands of the experts, placing them in the best facilities maybe, but no judging. And I think that's the best thing that I can say I can have, is like, I can't judge another person's journey or decision. So I try to leave them at that. The other thing, one of the coworkers that she's been on, Jennifer, she said, I say it all the time. Carolyn says, we talk about heavy things, so I have to make you laugh before we leave. And really, like, laughter is true the best medicine. So if people call me, we can curse. So we curse, cry, but we're gonna laugh before. And even if I have to tell you like some stupid joke, or make you tell me a stupid joke, I don't know, tell me something stupid, then we have to like at least laugh. So I think that's kind of like my formula. We're gonna curse, laugh, be honest, and move on. Yeah. So but I didn't sign up for that either. Like, I did not know what I was getting myself into when I walked in. Not only like the podcast, even my job, I did not know what I was.
I was gonna say, I mean, you did sign up for your job.
I did sign up, but some of the tasks that I ended up with, like, I was like, I didn't sign up for this part.
You're the unpaid therapist. You're the comforting counselor. You're the voice on the other end of the phone at whatever time of day. And yeah. So, and I find it difficult. So I often tell caregivers, because of course, our mantra is like self-care. Take care of yourself. And I find a lot of difficulty in taking care of myself. So when I usually tell people, I know it's easier said. Like, I know you're saying in your voice, Carolyn, like, how do I take care of myself? I was like, I know, because I'm in the same boat. And I think the best gift I've ever gotten is this year I went on vacation for the first time without my phone. Like, I did not like look at my email. Oh wow!
I did not.
Yeah, that's healthy.
Answer. But the caregivers were saying, you need to go on vacation. You need to take care of yourself. And so it was like this mirror of them saying, we need you. So we need you to take care of yourself. So that was like really eye-opening. So I'm working on trying to take care of myself. Yeah. And for all the caregivers that I guess I kind of take care of.
And if anybody ever needs a source of some ideas for self-care, then we know they can check out the website, alzark.org. And there's plenty of activities that y'all have planned across the state to get those caregivers and even sometimes their loved ones out to do things together and to just take a step out of that environment that they feel so confined. Yes, those four walls, to get them outside of it. So yes, I'm glad that we got to have this discussion, and so I hope that this provided some insight to our listeners, to your listeners, to learn a little bit more about their host of I Didn't Sign Up for This.
Thank you, Brittany. I appreciate you so much.
I'm so glad you asked, and I'm very appreciative of the opportunity. So thank you.
Thank you. Until next time, I didn't sign up for this. Thank you for inspiring me, Brittany Rush. First of all, to do a podcast. I did not sign up for this. I'm not one of those people that wanted to do a podcast. So thank you for the growth and inspiration throughout this process. Subscribe, review, and share this podcast. Thank you to Elder Independence for underwriting. I did not sign up for this. Until next time.